Dallas Clark, George Kittle, Sam Laporta, TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, Eric Jensen, just to name a few. Betting on a tight end that's coming out of Iowa has historically been a very good bet to
Absolutely.
make. It's like betting on a wide receiver out of Ohio State or LSU. I mean, you can bet on that guy. He's been brought up in a system that has taught him how to do it at the next level. That place just churns out tight ends like butter. You've got your Dynasty rookie drafts coming up, and you know who you're going to draft in round 1. But how about rounds 3 and 4? We've got the best sleeper rookies to target in your rookie drafts on today's video. Every one of these players is available late second, third, or fourth round. So we got you guys with some of our favorite sleepers in the class. Do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you like the content. 6 players in total. I'll go first.
Sure.
One of my favorite sleeper running backs in the class is Jalen Wright, Tennessee running back that got drafted to the Miami Dolphins. Round 4, pick 20. I wish we got him into round 3 because the hit rate from round 3 to round 4 is a pretty huge drop-off, but still one of my favorite sleepers. And I actually think that because he goes round 4 and because he goes to the Miami Dolphins, that is going to push him down into the 3rd round of a lot of super flex rookie drafts. I think he'll be anywhere from the 210 to the 306, 307, 308 range. It's kind of volatile right now, but I think that will be where he lands. But let's just talk about the player for a second. Jalen Wright, this dude was a problem in the SEC last year, in the best defensive conference in college football in the nation. He had over 1,000 rushing yards, 7.4 yards per attempt, had some work in the air, 22 receptions in the air as well. His PFF grade was over 91. That was 16th best in the nation of any running back who had 100 attempts. With that same qualifier, he had the 2nd best yards per attempt at 7.4. By the way, the next highest yards per attempt in the SEC with 100 attempts was Kendall Milton at 6.5. He was almost a full yard extra per attempt than the next best SEC guy. That efficiency is ridiculous. His yards after contact per attempt, again with that same qualifier, was 5th best in the nation. He had a 52.1% breakaway percentage. That feels like a running back that the Dolphins are going to fall in love with. We know how much they love those explosive plays. And he had 132 elusive rating, according to PFF's database. And let's not forget, Jalen Wright dominated at the combine. There is not a single person on this planet that should have question marks about his athleticism and that translating to the next level. We know he dominated at the combine, a 9.81 relative athletic score. That ranks 37th all time in the last 36 years out of over 1,900 running backs. That is a 98th percentile running back score, 210 pounds, 4.38 40-yard dash, ridiculously fluid, explosive, dynamic athlete, both on film and tested at the combine. And more importantly, this is all about the role I envision for Jalen Wright in Miami. I wholeheartedly believe that not enough people are thinking this through because he's falling down draft boards. This is the Raheem Mostert replacement long-term.
Okay.
This will be Miami's long-term Raheem Mostert. Yes, they just signed Mostert to an extension. He is still 32 years old, guys. It is so rare that any running back ever plays at the age of 32, let alone starts. And let's not forget that last year was an anomaly for Raheem Mostert, where he stayed healthy. For most of his career, he has not been healthy. And why would that continue as he gets older and older and older? Why would he continue to get healthier and healthier and healthier? That's typically not the way it works. And funnily enough, if you compare these guys just from an athletic testing perspective, they're not that far off. Like we mentioned earlier, Jalen Wright, 9.81 RAS score. Raheem Mostert, 9.37. They both ran a 4.38 40-yard dash. Their 10-yard split was pretty similar. Their 20-yard split was pretty similar. They both had an elite composite explosion grade. The biggest difference is that Jalen Wright is actually a bigger body. Raheem Mostert came into the NFL at 195. We got Jalen Wright coming in at 210. He's a little bit more, I guess, built to take that workload. I would not be shocked by the end of the 2024 season if we are talking about Devon Achane and Jalen Wright, as the most dynamic, explosive running back duo in the NFL. My pro comps, by the way, before the NFL draft for Jalen Wright, the ceiling was Reggie Bush, Aaron Jones type player. The floor was a Ty Chandler, Jerome Ford type of player. And, I'm not going to tell you only the positives. I'm going to tell you some of the concerns. The draft capital is not good. Like we talked about, 17% hit rate for round 4 running backs in the last 10 years. That's not ideal. And he's also never dominated a backfield in college. He had 136 attempts in 2023. 28% of his team's rushing attempts this year. That's a career high. So those are some concerns when you look at Jalen Wright's profile. However, what we can lean on is the fact that when he got his opportunities, he was one of the most efficient rushers in all of college football. And let me ask you guys, is there another backfield that you would want a running back to go in if you don't know the amount of touches he's going to get? On a per touch basis, the Dolphins are one of the best fantasy backfields that you can possibly be a part of. Ultimately, the hit rate is awful, but if he is there in round 3, I will draft a ton of Jalen Wright because I think he's the next Raheem Mostert for this team.
Yeah, Jalen Wright. Let's see what happens. I kind of said the Dolphins was going to draft the running back last year, but I thought they would go higher, unfortunately, and they got Devon and Jalen Wright.
Yeah, this shouldn't concern you if you own Devon A.
No, not at all. Not at all. I was a big advocate of them drafting a higher running back, maybe a Brooks, a Benson, and then where is Devon's pathway from there. But that is not the case. So I do like the take there with Jalen Wright. My next player, I bought this player January 25th, and I said he could be the next Puka, a guy that can land in a favorable landing spot and find production. Once again, bought him January 25th. Now I'm bringing you him here again today. Javon Baker. He went to the Patriots in the 4th round, 110th pick. And this is going to be a lot of people's favorite 3rd round draft pick.
Yes,
and
I love it.
I'm glad that he went to one of my favorite, well, not one of my favorite, but to a landing spot that is very favorable here with obviously a whole new head coaching regime and a new system. But let's talk about that college production because let me remind you, this is your first time you heard Javon Baker and you're saying, okay, I'm new to Dynasty, whatever the case may be. He had his best year by far at UCF in his last year of college here. 52 receptions, 82 targets, just over 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, 61.9% reception percentage, and a PFF grade of a receiving grade of 84.3. So this is a guy that brings size, speed, and athleticism. He is 6'1", about 200 pounds, and this is exactly what he can bring to the field now with the New England Patriots. The production is what he can bring to the New England Patriots as well because of, I'll get to who else is on that team. Now, one of the biggest reasons why I'll say, hey, Badake, you bring a guy that had a great season in college, but why did he go in the 4th round? Honestly, in my personal opinion, I believe is his testing. If you look at his testing here, he did not test the greatest whatsoever. Like I said, 6'1", 202 pounds, but you see he ran a 4.54, and this is in a stat class of size, speed, athlete. So you look at all these size, speed athletes, and you see Javon Baker. It's like, okay, this guy is not the best athlete. He doesn't feel like he is somebody that can bring separation or anything, but he is above average route runner. I think there's things that he can improve on, no doubt about it. But what he can bring onto the field is so much more than what you've seen in the testing. He was the 4th slowest. He had the 4th slowest 40 amongst wide receivers out of everyone that tested. I think that is a huge reason why we saw him fall into the 4th round. And to be honest with you, the 4th round is not a terrible draft capital for someone like a Javon Baker. I know some people had Javon Baker in the fantasy community as a top 10 wide receiver, and that just wasn't for myself. I doubt Zach had him as a top 10, but he is somebody that we both like. We both believe that he was going to be a sneaky upside type of play, and we've seen that. And the pathway to success, because these are some guys in the sleepers. We saw Javon Baker go at the 3-2 in our latest rookie mock 3-3, in our latest real draft. Actually, we just did a real draft at the Alpha League, and he went at the 3-0-3. That is the type of value you can get for somebody that I believe could potentially be the wide receiver 2. And a lot of people believe at this moment is most likely going to be the wide receiver 1 based off the talent. Let me tell you why. The New England Patriots obviously drafted their future quarterback in Drake May. This is a whole new pathway, a whole new regime, right? Demario Douglas is on this team. He was a 6th round wide receiver for this team, for not this regime. Juju Smith-Schuster cannot stay healthy, and he's doing some other stuff on Twitter. Kendrick Bourne coming off an ACL tear. Look, And we saw him have a little breakout in the first couple weeks, but can he stay healthy onto field after that ACL tear? This new head coaching regime, offensive coordinator, in this front office brings in Jalen Polk in the second round and Javon Baker in the fourth round. Two new weapons for Drake May, a caliber, an elite quarterback, in my personal opinion, that's coming out of this draft class. And they're bringing in weapons for someone like him. So look, I know the hit rate is not phenomenal, right? According to Zach's studies and information, a 5.3 hit rate for a wide receiver in the fourth round, which is terrible. The most recent one that we can think of is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, the odds are against him, but the pathway is phenomenal if you really think about it. I can easily see him jumping to Mario Douglas, Juju Smith, and Kendrick Bourne. May not be in the first 5, 6, 7 weeks, but maybe in the second half of the season, maybe he can have a phenomenal ending, maybe a league-winning type of season. Now, I said he was the next Puka Nacua. Let's bring it down a little bit. What if he could be the next Jalen Reed? That can maybe that's a more, a more even and a more realistic type of pathway for someone like a Javon Baker. And if he does finish as a top 25, even top 30 wide receiver, and you got him in the third round, that is a really already good return for someone like a Javon Baker. So he is my first rookie sleeper.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. Love me some Javon Baker. He's in a great spot and obviously a rookie quarterback, but there's no solidified number one there. All right. Y'all know the deal. My favorite player in this entire draft is going to end up being one of my favorite sleepers in rookie drafts. I think he will be available in every third round of Superflex drafts. That is Washington wide receiver Jalen McMillan. Jalen McW's in the chat. Okay, so he goes round 3. Love that. At least it's not, day 3. It's day 2 pick. Round 3 and round 2 hit rates aren't that far off anyway. But then he goes to the Tampa Bay Bucks. In a way, this is good. In a way, it's bad. My initial reaction was, damn, that sucks. They got Mike Evans there. Baker loves Mike Evans. They got Chris Godwin there. Okay? But the more I thought it through, the more I can paint a picture, whether it's delusion or not, where I really see a good outcome at some point.
Oh, boy.
Okay? Firstly, Mike Evans will be 31 years old this year. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he's going to fall off. What I am saying is it's very rare we see a wide receiver at 31, 32, 33 be what they used to be in their prime. But more importantly, forget Mike Evans. Chris Godwin's contract expires after this season right here. All right, he will be an unrestricted free agent in 2025. And with how expensive the wide receiver market is right now in the NFL, I could easily see the Bucks let Godwin become a free agent and let Jalen McMillan kind of fill those shoes as the wide receiver 2 of this offense. If they didn't plan on letting Godwin go to free agency, why spend a day 2 pick on a wide receiver, right? The Bucks currently rank 8th in money allocated to the wide receiver position amongst every NFL team. 8th, again, $38.4 million is allocated to wide receivers. That's almost 15% of their cap. And with wide receiver contracts being more and more difficult to fit into a salary cap, again, it makes sense why the Bucks might want to get cheaper at that spot. I believe there's a fantastic chance that McMillan takes over the Godwin role this time next year. And again, we don't even know how long Mike Evans can play at that level. I'm not suggesting there are any signs that he won't continue, but we do know that father time comes for every man. But ultimately, here's what it comes down to. I'm betting on a good player. That's what it comes down to. Jalen McMillan, at every point of his career as a football player, has been that dude. He has been that dude, and I think he can be that dude for an NFL team. If you haven't dived in, if you will, to Jalen McMillan before the NFL draft, I want you to be very aware, not enough people are talking about this, that he was injured for a significant portion of the 2023 season. However, if you look back at the 2022 season, the last year he was healthy alongside Rome Odunze, he was on pace with Rome Odunze in that Washington offense. In fact, Jalen McMillan led Washington that year in receptions more than Odunze, in receiving touchdowns more than Odunze. And he was right on Odunze's tail with receiving yards leader for that Washington Huskies team. Again, same team that also had Michael Penix Jr. as their quarterback. So don't forget, we're just 1 year removed from McMillan and Odunze producing pretty much the same. You can make a case that McMillan had a better production profile last year. Then in 2023, what no one is talking about and what you need to know is that McMillan was healthy weeks 1 and 2 versus Boise State and Tulsa. Then during warm-ups before his third game versus Michigan State, he suffered a knee injury. Instead of removing himself from games, he tried to play through it. He tried to be there for his team. It ultimately was not the right decision. I mean, look at this. I did this research for you. Look, like some of these games, he is just a decoy. He is not himself. And I went back and I made sure I looked at all the injury reports to make sure I knew exactly what the timeline was. But if you look at this, there are games where he has no targets, 1 target. He's clearly just a decoy in those games. And he wasn't even fully recovered until that conference championship game against Oregon. So even though he played 11 games, he really was only healthy for 5 of those games. If you look at Jalen McMillan, let's break down his season in that light, okay? In that light. In those 5 healthy games, he had 36 catches, 430 yards, and 5 touchdowns. If we extrapolate that, those 5 healthy games, what if he was healthy for 11? I know extrapolating is not perfect. I'm trying to explain to you guys how damn good he was when he was healthy, okay? I know it's not a perfect science, but if we extrapolate those 5 to 11 games, if he was healthy, you're looking at a 79 reception season, just under 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. How about if we extrapolate it to 15 games, which is what Rome Odunze played? Rome Odunze was able to stay healthy the entire year. If it was 15 games and we extrapolate those numbers over 108 receptions, almost 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns. But like I said, I know extrapolating isn't perfect. It's unlikely he would have reached that. But the more important thing I'm trying to show you guys is how impactful, how important, how necessary he was to this offense when he was healthy. He went out and he produced when he was himself. He was a former 4-star recruit. He was the 6th highest ranked wide receiver out of high school recruiting class. He's been that dude at every level of his football career, from middle to high school to college, and now he's going to the NFL. My comps for him, my ceiling comp for him was Keenan Allen when I watched his film. And you might sit there and say, that's ridiculous. That's so stupid. Guess what? Keenan Allen was a round 3 pick, okay? Keenan Allen was someone that the NFL missed on in round 3. My middle ground comp for him was Christian Kirk. And my floor comp for him was Tyler Boyd. I think at minimum, you're getting a Tyler Boyd level player. And we know plenty of years, Tyler Boyd was a very relevant fantasy asset. So I love me some Jalen McMillan. I think way too many people are not giving him props for the production that he's had and not considering his injuries. I'll be drafting him in round 3 as many times as I possibly can. We're about to get into the next sleeper, but we have to let you know that our 2024 rookie report version 4.0 just released. Brand new rankings for one quarterback superflex with tiers, positional rankings, hit rate, historical data. If you want that, then become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. Not only do you get our rookie report, but you also get a Dynasty team review from us. You can have a look at your team, where it ranks amongst your league, what kind of moves we might make if we were, in your shoes, what direction you should go, what you should spend your draft picks on. If you want some direction for your team and you want the rookie report, then become a Mother Flocker member with the code LAND and support the boys here on the channel.
All right, going to my next player here at the running back position. This is not somebody that I was extremely high on coming into the, our pre-draft process. I didn't have a high scouting grade on him. I thought he was going to have a very limited role in the NFL. But I believe this landing spot and the vision that I now have for him is a little bit underrated, and that is Audric Estime. He was drafted by the Denver Broncos in the 5th round with the 147th pick, and we actually just saw him go at the 4-3 in our alpha rookie drafts here. One of my biggest knocks on Estime is that he isn't that type of back that the NFL is looking for anymore. Okay, this type of back that this new NFL system is looking for, they're looking for that combination, that even medium of speed, pass catching ability, the ability to block, the ability to get in space, yards after the catch, but also have the vision to run. Audric Estime really only brings the size, power, strength type of opportunity for this offense. Maybe a goal line back, not something that we've seen all these new age NFL teams and running backs are bringing into it. He's not the Jonathan Brooks. He's not the Trey Bensons. He's not the Saquon Barkleys. He's not even the Rashad Whites. He just brings more of all right, we're on first and goal on the 5-yard line, get Audric Estime in. That's the type of pathway I'm kind of envisioning it for him here. And with him being one of the slowest players at the NFL Combine as well, it's no surprise that he also went in the fifth round, with that 4.140 speed. But look, one of my biggest concerns and the reason why I'm kind of envisioning this pathway for Audric Estime is because of Javonte Williams and Sean Payton. This is more of a gut feeling. Obviously, Javonte Williams coming off of that ACL tear, and we've always been on the train. I've always been on the train of like, hey, you have to, kick that ACL tear 1 year. You can't take, you saw Saquon Barkley coming off the ACL tear. He finished outside the top 25 running backs. You saw all these other running backs that tore the ACL and come back the next year. It just wasn't the same. We do have those outliers like Breece Hall, like Adrian Peterson, and the list goes on. But that is very, very limited. But still, I do believe Sean Payton wanted to bring more competition to this backfield and has a different vision for all these weapons. We've seen Sean Payton clear house for this offense or for this team. Not saying that he didn't keep, he kept Javonte Williams, and I know he believes he's talented, but he still wants a little bit of his own flavor on this team. Okay, Sean, if you think of this offense and how successful Sean Payton was in the past, obviously with the Alvin Kamaras, the Mark Ingrams, the Latavius Murrays, they have been a top scoring team in not only in passing, but also in the red zone. But when you look at the red zone opportunities and how many times this offense tried to rush the ball and scored rushing touchdowns, they were bottom 5 in the league in rushing touchdowns in 2023. And bringing Audric Estime here, I believe, is addressing that issue because he is trying to punch the ball in where they're in, that 10-yard line, that 5-yard line type of opportunity. Estime brings the ability to bring that, right? Those opportunities for Javonte Williams to be taken, or those opportunities from Javonte Williams on the goal line here. I'm thinking of Jamal Williams type of opportunities, what we saw with the Lions a couple years ago. I think of Latavius Murray with Alvin Kamara in 2019, who was with Sean Payton when he finished as a top 30 running back. I mean, you can even see it. I even bought a little screenshot here. Alvin Kamara, this is in 2019. Alvin Kamara had 174 attempts, while Latavius Murray had 146 attempts. Clearly, Alvin Kamara is a better running back. Clearly, Alvin Kamara should be getting all those opportunities. Now, this may be a little bit different because this was a couple years ago and the running back room and the landscape was different. But maybe this is kind of the pathway that Sean Payton is trying to go to now with Joe Lombardi, who was also in that offense with Sean Payton in New Orleans. Look, we also see Jaleel McLaughlin take some opportunity away from Javonte Williams last year when Sean Payton was running the hot hand. So, look, I am not saying that Sean Payton Audric Estime is the number one back in his backfield. I'm just saying we've seen on the Coach Speak Index how Sean Payton said after the interviews, after he drafted Audric Estime, someone said, what do you envision Audric Estime to bring to this offense? Like, what do you envision his role to be? He says, initially first and second down, no doubt about it. Now, is that going to be the role? Probably not. Things can change in the next 3 to 4 or 5 months. But the fact that you can get Audric Estime, a running back here, that's going to a favorable opportunity, in my personal opinion, I do believe he could be of value. Maybe in the second half of the season. Once again, maybe he is Jamal Williams for this Denver Broncos team, especially with the new quarterback as well. They need a guy that can pass protect and maybe take that edge off in those first and second down. So for me, Audric Estime could be a little sneaky upside.
Yeah, I like it. Neither of us were Estime guys. We weren't Braylon Allen guys either. And both of those guys fell drastically. And now you can get both of them pretty cheap. So I kind of, we're starting to be in on some of those names now, which is funny. Yeah. All right, I'm going to bring you a tight end here to end my favorite sleepers. And this is going to be very simple. But Eric All, the tight end out of Iowa, he goes to the Cincinnati Bengals, round 4, pick 15. Like I said, very simple take here. Betting on a tight end that's coming out of Iowa has historically been a very good bet to
Absolutely.
make. It's like betting on a wide receiver out of Ohio State or LSU. I mean, you can bet on that guy. He's been brought up in a system that has taught him how to do it at the next level. That place just churns out tight ends like butter, okay? Dallas Clark, George Kittle, Sam Laporta, TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, Eric Jensen, just to name a few. Very impactful tight ends at the next level. Very simply put, this guy's going to be available in the late 4th round. For a lot of you, he's going to be your 410, your 411, your 412. Maybe in some leagues, he's even available on the waiver wire after your NFL draft. But ultimately, Love where he's coming from. Love the system that he's been brought up in. And I love that he's attached to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was doing some special things with Tanner Hudson before he went down with an injury last year. We were just starting to see this connection from Burrow to a tight end for the first time in a long time. We really didn't have, that kind of reliable connection from him. Yeah. But after their bye week, we saw Tanner Hudson get more and more trust, more looks from Joey B. And then ultimately we know that Joe Burrow goes down with that injury. But Eric is just a guy that I'm excited about adding, sticking on my taxi if I'm in a premium or even in a non-premium. I already got a guy that I like. For example, in Alpha, I wanted him. You took him one pick ahead of me. I had Kittle. I was going to stick him on my taxi. Whatever happens, happens. But he's a guy with kind of that last-minute dart throw pick. I'm going to have that dart throw a lot this year.
Yeah, I like Eric Cole, and I love the opportunities and the pathway that you kind of envision. Like you said, I did take him one spot ahead of you here. And I'm going to continue at the tight end position as well. A guy that I also took here in our first Alpha rookie draft at the 4-6. I took two tight ends in the 4th round because I like the opportunities. I genuinely do. This guy's getting tight ends of the future. Theo Johnson going to my beloved New York Football Giants in the 4th round there. Look, this guy's a freak. And the first thing I can bring up here is that RSA score. Look, this guy ranked 9th out of 1,105 tight ends in the past, right? This guy has a crazy, he's a crazy freak, right? 6 foot, 259 pounds. He ran a 4.57, the second fastest 40 amongst tight ends at the NFL Combine here. And you can just see that the speed and the size athlete type of player that he can be. He can definitely be a pass catching guy, but he can also be a blocker, which is phenomenal. He was literally one of the top 10 ranking tight ends according to RSA. The difference here is landing spot and opportunity. Now, this may be a little bit of a homer pick, but honestly, it's not because of the pathway. Darren Waller, whether he is retiring or not retiring, he can't stay healthy. Okay, which then gives you Theo Johnson more opportunity to get on the field. But you're probably saying, what about Daniel Bellinger, somebody who had the same draft capital or a similar draft? The Hope Belland, who I love, who has a similar draft capital than for like Theo Johnson. But we have to look at the type of athlete that these two are. Theo Johnson is more of a big body, blocking, a guy that can come into this field on this offense and be a weapon. He can be a weapon, unlike Daniel Bellinger. Now, Saquon Barkley is no longer on the team. We do draft Malik Neighbors, but Brian Dable is going to give Theo Johnson the opportunity to get in that end zone, because what did we see this past year when Darren Waller was on the field? When we got into the end zone in those limited times, they try to force feed Darren Waller the whole time. Now, that may be different because we have Malik Neighbors, but can Theo Johnson get into the end zone and big that 6'6" big body tight end that we've always needed for a very long time and that can stay healthy? I'll take the chances here in the 4th round with Theo Johnson.
Well, all right, guys. That is it for today. We appreciate you so much. Thanks for watching. Do us a favor, hit that like button. Go kill your rookie drafts. And let us know who your favorite sleeper is down below in the comment section. We'd love to know. All up. We'll see you guys very soon. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy. Even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.